Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and that your Erev Shabbat is going well. I want to share with you a thought that develops from a story at the end of the Parsha that we're going to read tomorrow. After Yaakov leaves ever so suddenly from Lavan's house, along with Lavan's daughters Rachel and Leah and his grandchildren, and they don't tell him they're going. So Lavan gets word of this, that they're gone, and he tracks Yaakov down, and he's ready to go ballistic on Yaakov. And that night, before Lavan was going to meet with Yaakov, God basically intervenes and tells Lavan, don't touch the kid, don't touch Yaakov, or else. Now they still have a very what's the right word here, but they have a bitter discussion with each other. Lavan kind of airs his grievances, and Yaakov airs his grievances, and they kind of clear the air, and ultimately they come to settle on, okay, we're each going to go our own way. The next morning, Vayashkem Lavan baboker, Lavan got up, the Torah tells us in the morning, Vayinashek levanav v'livnotav vayivarech etem, and he kissed his children and his grandchildren, and he blessed them. Vayelech vayashav Lavan limkomo, and Lavan went, and he returned to his place. And the next pasuk says, Yaakov halach darko, Yaakov went on his way, vayifgu uvo malachei Elokim, and he ended up meeting angels of God. Now the Meshech Chochma, Rav Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, says that the way that Lavan's departing is described here is very different than how Yaakov leaves the scene. And that it's not just simply, certainly the pshat, the most simple way to understand this is that Lavan went back to his house and Yaakov continued journeying back to the land of Israel, and he was going to go settle there. But he says there's something more to the way that it was written. I mean, we didn't have to be told this. We know that Lavan was going to go back to his own home, and that Yaakov would have continued on his journey. We didn't necessarily need to be told this. So what do we make of the way it's told to us? And so the Meshech Chochma says that the explanation of this is Ki mishi yesh lo ish kadosh ki Yaakov betoch beito halo ro'i lehitbasem mima'asav v'chochmato. That, Lavan, if you think about Lavan's life, for 20 years, Yaakov lived in his midst. He lived in his house. And after someone that holy and that amazing enters our life for such an extended period of time, and now they're taking leave, we would hope that after that time, we would almost be smelling and be of the characteristics and the wisdom that they possess. Like it seeped into who we are, and you would have hoped that would have been the case with Lavan, and we would have hoped Ulakayembo that he would have fulfilled the verse in Mishlei which says, "Holech et chachamim yechkam," that those who keep company with the wise become wise. V'lo hayakein. But unfortunately, that was not the case for Lavan. And if you really think about it, the Meshech Chochma doesn't spell this out. But if you look at the character of Lavan, when we first meet him in the story when Eliezer, Abraham's servant, comes to Haran to find a wife, turns out to be Rivka, Lavan's sister, and we meet Lavan there, what is he driven by? He's driven by money. He seems to be very interested in the wealth and the fame of Abraham. And he is not someone that strikes us as a wholesome person, the way that we would think about Yaakov. And we know throughout his life he uses trickery. He fools Yaakov into marrying Leah. And even when Yaakov ultimately in this week's Parsha comes up with the whole plan with the spotted and speckled sheep, Lavan was trying to really fool him and to keep him working hard through that time. And we see from Yaakov's speech to Lavan in their conflict at the end that precedes this part of the story, Yaakov is like, you were treating me poorly for 20 years, left and right, not paying me. I worked at night and it was freezing and it was boiling hot and you didn't treat me nicely. And Lavan didn't change one bit from the first time we met him to the last time we see him in the Torah. The Kasher halach Yaakov Shav Lavan Limkom. What does it mean that when Yaakov left his life, Lavan returned to his place? Limkomo harishon. He went back to where he was. Hainu matzavo hara. The same, person. Matzavo hara b'deyot u'midot. Evil in his thinking and in his ways. Midot ramai, in his trickery. He was the ohev mamon, and he loved money. Whatever it took to further his own self-interests, Lavan continued to do that. When you've been around a wise person and a kind person for 20 years, to not grow is criminal. But if you think about Yaakov, the Yaakov halach ledarko, Yaakov went on his way. Shahat Sadiq, he was going on his way. The Talmid Chacham ha'amiti, a true righteous person and a true scholar, is not the one who knows all of the Gemara backwards and forwards. What's a true Talmid Chacham? A true wise sage? Hu holech mimakom harishon lema'alot gedolot. You go from step one, from the first place you are, and then you continue to grow one step at a time. You don't stay static. Look at Yaakov's character throughout his life. The first time we meet Yaakov, Ish Tam Yoshev Ohalim. He's the quiet kid at home. He likes books. He's not out there like Esav in the world. That's not him. But look who he turns into. He has to leave his parents' home because of what happens. And he learns to be a journeyman. Goes far away. He learns to deal with people like Lavan, who are not always going to be so kind to you the way that your mom and dad are going to be kind to you. He learns to be a husband and to manage the challenges of that and the challenges of being a father. And he ultimately is able to wrestle with an angel and wrestle with men and overcome. This is a person that grew at every step. Who Yaakov was at the beginning is not who he is at the end. He's always growing. Because he comes into different contact with different people, into different circumstances, and he learns from every step of life. So it goes without saying, obviously, for all of us as we go through this, continue to go through this period, that obviously we need to take away something from this period. We need to grow and become better people. And for going through different circumstances, by the way, for just working out different muscles, there are things that we are all doing that we just didn't do before this pandemic. And we're working out new muscles. And you know what? We've learned something about ourselves. Individually, as families, as community, we're growing. Fantastic. But maybe we've also learned, if you think back to how things were before the pandemic, there were people maybe around us, maybe in our workplace, maybe in our down our block, maybe there are people in our own community. You know what? I have a chance to work out new muscles after this is all over, and to try to learn from other people who we may not have been tuning into to learn from. Maybe that's also in the realm of Torah. There are different people we've learned from during this time. Maybe let's try something different online that I could learn from. The point is that Yaakov never stopped. Actually, the Meshech Chochmah, he continues and says that a Talmid Chacham ein lahem menucha ba'olam hazeh. They don't rest in this world. There's no resting. There's always growing. There's always becoming better. Because if we don't, we risk losing out on the most fulfilling part of life, which is being as great a person we can be. May we all take away from this period not just what we've the new things we've learned, but take away the spirit that in whatever life is going to throw at us, whoever is going to be around us because of life circumstances, or who we want to choose to be around, we're going to choose to grow from them, to learn from them, and to all become better people every single day. Mimakom harishon, from the first step, lema'alot gedolot, to the great steps that we are going to take for the continuation and for the rest of our lives. I wish all of us a Shabbat Shalom, and I wish all of us that blessing to be just like Yaakov.